Shalom, everybody. Chag Purim or Chag Simcha Purim. I don't know if that's what they say. The feast of the joy of Chag Purim Sameach. Happy Purim festival. Now, Purim is not one of the biblical ordained feasts. However, it was ordained in the book of Esther, okay, to be celebrated every year among the Jewish people. Okay, so and there's a reason for it. That's how God turned everything around. See, everything in this story is what we're living through right now. It's in reality. This year, you can understand it better than you're going to understand it any other year. Okay, because we're living in it. We're living in a story like that of Purim. Okay, and I want to welcome everybody online to it. Whoever wants a copy of the notes, just send me email at kolharuach, KOLHARUACH @gmail.com. Okay. I actually have two teachings. We're not going to go over everything, obviously. This month is a month when you don't know how things are going to turn out. Okay, I was just telling people the other day, unbelieving Jewish people gamble so that they will feel what it's like during this time to not know if things are going to turn out for the good or the bad. Of course, when I gamble, I just like to have fun. And, the thing is, it's like, that's the feeling. But you don't have to worry about that feeling. Most people are feeling that right now anyhow. So you don't have to gamble to understand that feeling. Okay? There is a lot of distractions during this time. Okay? The Hebrew word for distraction is pun. That's a pei, a vav, and a final nun. Okay? It means to be perplexed, distracted. Okay? So we have to watch out for being perplexed and distracted. Okay? Doubts. The word for doubts is kitar. It means knots, ligaments of the bones, difficult questions, weariness and vexation, confusion. It's also laziness. Okay? And why am I bringing that up? Because Amalek functions in distractions and doubts. And I know that's not on your notes that I handed to you. I just want you to know that if you're having these feelings of being distracted or doubting, that means something, you're having a hard time dealing with what's going on. Okay? And you need to not doubt. And you need to stop doubting. Every single day we are being tested on this. We have believed that God has put in a person whom He's spoken of through the prophets and through many other people besides the prophets. A president. Okay? And every day it's a test. And if you watch the news, it's worse. Don't watch the news. Okay? If you haven't figured that out already. Okay? What is going to happen is impossible from our standpoint. It's never happened before. Okay? But the impossible is not in God's vocabulary. And we've got to get it out of our vocabulary. Because even though, I don't even think there's a Hebrew word for impossible. I don't think there's a Hebrew word for, unlimited. And I think it's just unlimited. God can do anything. Okay? And He is. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, oh my God, He did. He was right. I'm not necessarily saying me, okay? I'm just saying all the people of God, okay? That maybe God spoke to them, okay? And He's going to do something that has never been done in the earth before. How many times do we see in the scriptures and the prophets He says, I'm going to do something new. And this is really going to be something new that's never been done before. Okay? And it's going to come. And what happened in the Purim story was something new that hadn't happened before. Israel was rebellious, and I caused them to go and be scattered into the nations. And it seemed like, they had a king, Cyrus, who came back and said, go back and build your temple because God did this. That was a miracle in itself. Okay, and then, also, let's make the comparison. Everybody compares President Trump to Cyrus, right? Cyrus is the one that let them go. Okay, but then they were still there it became Persia. It used to be Babylon, but it became Persia. Okay, so Persia. Okay, and there was a lot of threats and a lot of danger. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because you all pretty much know the story, but I'm going to probably show it to you in a way that makes it personal for today. Okay, so we have the story of Amalek. Okay, Amalek, which I already shared a little bit about it, about the meaning. He means dweller in the valley. Excuse me. And the king of Amalek was Agag. That's how you say it. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but Agag. Okay, it means fugitive flame, to burn, to blaze as a fire. And then there's another guy named Haman. I was hoping for somebody to say okay, and his name means, believe it or not, a noise, a tumult, corral, to rage, to war. So we rage at his name. Okay? And however, unfortunately, there's another meaning to his name, magnificence. But it means magnificence in a sense of he was magnificent in his own eyes. Okay? We have another word in Hebrew for magnificent and glorious. It's the word Adar, which we've been in the month of Adar. Okay? So anyhow, Vashti, it's a good name. A good name, but what she did was not good. Now, what she did was not good, but from other perspectives, you would think in today's what do you call it, women's liberation movement or whatever, I'm not even sure what to call it. What she did was right. That's, she basically was asked by the king and the leaders of Persia to come out and show her beauty, because she was so beautiful, with only wearing the royal crown. That's it, nothing else. Okay, so, because she disobeyed, it cost her queenship. So, there's different views on that. I won't comment. It wasn't necessarily a terrible thing that she lost being queen, because then our people could get saved. It was a purpose for it. Okay, Ahasuerus, the name of King Xerxes, or actually it's called Artaxerxes too. It means, I will be silent and poor. Isn't that weird? These names, this is what they mean in Hebrew. I will be silent and poor. Now, there was another name probably in Persian for Artaxerxes, but a good name, silent and poor, could also mean humble or broken. Okay? Now, God is in the story like this. It says in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay? What has been will be again. Okay, meaning that there's this repetitive thing that God does, because He's a storyteller. We should tell, when our children are little, we should tell them stories to inspire their creativity and inspire faith. Okay? Well, that's all it is. God is a storyteller. Yeshua spoke in parables. He was a storyteller. God is a storyteller. Except He uses humanity many times to tell the story. He uses disobedience to tell the story. He uses nations to tell the story. He's telling us a big story right now. There's nothing new under the sun. What has been will be again. Okay, then we're going to talk about a couple other names. Benjamin, top of page 2, means son of the right hand. Okay, now why am I bringing up Benjamin? I'm going to give you the root of where King Saul, the very first king of Israel, came from. Okay, he is a part of the story. You're saying, oh, we're talking about the book of Esther, I thought. You know what? The book of Esther is really a story that is multifaceted. God gave us a commandment. The Amalekites attacked Israel after they crossed the Red Sea. After they had their Red Sea moment, they crossed it, and then they were attacked. Okay? And it infuriated God. How dare you attack my people? I set them free. You're going to attack them? You're going to discourage them? Okay? And he made a plan. He says, I am at war with these people. And over time, he said, you must remember to blot out the name of Amalek. You must not forget to blot out the name of Amalek. Okay, now this whole world is in this whole cancel culture. Let's cancel this group and let's cancel that group. There's only one cancel in the entire Bible. It's Amalek. He is canceled. And anybody having to do with him is canceled. Okay, by the Bible. There is no other cancel. Oops. Okay, so Benjamin. Okay, Benjamin's had he had a son. I don't know if it's a immediate son, but his name was Kish. Kish. Okay, it means bent. To lay bait or lay a snare. Doesn't sound too good, does it? But actually, it could be a bow to bend, to set a trap, to lay a snare. It could be like shooting a bow at the enemy. Okay, Kish. And then you have Shaul, the King Saul. It means asked or request, inquired of. Okay, and then you have Shemi, which means famous. It comes from Shema, which means to hear. Hear, O Israel. Okay, and then you have Yair. Yair means he enlightens. And over time, you have Mordecai. Okay, his name, Mordecai. Not Mordecai. I know we've been used to Mordecai, but his name is actually pronounced Mordecai. Okay? It means little man. Okay, little man. And one interpretation is worshiper of Mars. However, I don't agree with that. I believe little man is a better way to put it. Okay, why? Because God doesn't use the large groups of people, the great people. He uses the small and insignificant, or the people that everybody hates, to change things. Now, when I say everybody hates, I mean usually the wicked people hate. Okay. He used Israel because they were the smallest. He used 12 disciples because they were the fewest. Fewest and the smallest, because God gets the glory. If everybody hates somebody, that means they must be doing something right.
Right.
Okay? We don't go with the majority. Okay, we go with the minority. That's why I like the minor keys. When we play music, Messianic music is like in minor keys, you know. The small is exalted. The humble is raised up. The arrogant is brought down. That's like the laws of gravity. In fact, come to think of it, if you jump up, you're going to fall. Okay. If you try to jump into thin air, try to jump off a 30-story building, you're going to become like dumb. Okay, it's the law. It's a law of nature. Okay, humility raises you up, because when you're small in your own eyes, God can do supernatural things and break His own law to raise you up. Okay, and when you're arrogant, He has to bring you down. Because that's why it says, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up. Okay, so why am I talking about this? Okay, because the grandson of Esau, the brother of Yaakov, was Amalek. Okay, and God said, you must remember to blot out his name. You must not forget. Okay, and there's a reason. What we're gonna find out is Amalek represents Satan. Okay, and Haman in this story represents the Antichrist, the false Messiah that's coming upon the earth. And it was a shadow of it. I read today that, now, don't quote me on this, and there's nothing in the Bible to prove this. It's a Jewish commentary that says that when Haman walked around, he had an idol on his outfit. And the real reason that Mordecai did not bow down is he would not bow down to idols. Now that could be a true story, and that's from the ancient rabbis. Okay? Or maybe it's just that he did not want to bow down to an Amalekite, because he remembered what happened when his great-grandfather bowed down. Okay, when Saul when King Saul did that terrible thing, and God said you were to wipe out all the Amalekites, and he left the sheep, he left the goats, and he took the king, King Agag. And who was the father of Haman? Yes, sing it. Okay. The father of Haman was Agag. How? Somewhere along the way, because he was set free from King Saul. Of course, after he was set free, then the prophet Samuel came along, Shmuel, and he put a spirit through him. Okay, so he killed him. Okay, he did what Saul wouldn't do. But God stripped the kingdom from King Saul and gave it to David because of not killing the Amalekites. This is a serious issue. Because he didn't do it, it left this whole story of the book of Esther to happen. It wouldn't have happened if he had wiped out all the Amalekites. But he didn't do it. Okay, that's just goes to show you we have to listen to God, even if it's uncomfortable. Even, but the problem with King Saul was he was a man pleaser. He was too concerned about pleasing the people above pleasing God. And I think that's a problem we have today. People are so concerned about pleasing people rather than pleasing God. Because God is like up there in their eyes. He's not down here. Someone that I know told me that we have to foster a vertical relationship with God and a horizontal relationship with each other. But if we put our horizontal relationship ahead of the one here, it's very dangerous. And it puts us in danger. Okay, so anyhow, so this is a story. So in this story, you're going to find out that the reason why Mordecai did not bow down is to redeem. Okay, to redeem what Paul did. I'm sorry, what Saul did. Okay, what King Saul did. Because King Saul was connected to Kish, and so was Mordecai. His family was the family of Kish. So the Kish family is in the story of these two stories, King Saul and Mordecai. Okay, so there's a redemption going on, but there's another thing going on. We have the story of King Saul, and it's symbolic of disobedience. Well, we have the story of Adam and Eve. You do not eat of the tree. If you eat of the tree, you will be, you're going to die. Okay, well, here, King Saul represents that. But with Mordecai, he would not bow down to this Amalekite, and because of that, he's like the second Adam. This one gives life. This one touches the heart of God. So Yeshua is symbolic. Mordecai is symbolic of Yeshua. Okay. Now, what about Esther? Okay, before I go on, I have on your notes the last page. You're going to pull that out at the end. Okay, rip it out. And it has the name of Amalek, Haman. And I added Satan a few years ago, and I added Biden this year. Okay, in Hebrew and in English, okay? Wow. And you're going to put this paper down, and you're going to dance on it. You're going to stomp on it. You're going to yell at it. You're going to blot it out. She's getting a head start.
I couldn't wait.
So try to separate her from the notes before you do it. Anyhow,
I just couldn't wait for this.
Okay, so we're going to have a lot of fun, okay? And it might seem to religious people or even maybe people who like peaceful, organized, this is the way we protest here. This is the way Jews protest. Okay? We're going to stomp. We're going to mock. Because there's more happening in this portion. There's more happening in this book than we all realize. And you know what it ties to? The same day of the resurrection of Yeshua.
Amen.
And what did Yeshua do at the resurrection? He took the authority of the enemy away from from us. He has no power over us, no authority over us because of Yeshua taking our sins away. And he resurrected. And you're going to find out that is why Queen Esther waited another day. She got the attention of the king, and it was miraculous in that because she could have been killed. If you approach the king of Persia without being called, he has a right to take your life by Persian law. But instead, she goes and she risks her life. And that king said, "You risked your life to appear before me. You must really love me." He hands out the scepter. Grace, mercy is given to her. And he says, "I'll give you half," he said to her, "I'll give you half of my kingdom. Up to half of my kingdom." And she said, "Well, come to this gathering. I have a celebration." And it was on a night that normally you would have a Passover Seder, so let's call it a Passover Seder. Okay? But of course, she kept it hidden, her identity. And there was a reason. Mordecai said, "You were to keep your identity hidden in this story. To protect them. And to expose the enemy." Listen, we are all hidden away here. We're all waiting for a good result. But our lives are in danger. Every day, more and more danger and more executive orders are passed. Amen. Well, let me give you an old name to an executive order. It's a ring. It's a ring of power, ring of authority. I'm not talking about Lord of the Rings, okay? I'm saying that it's a ring that had the authority to create edicts that can't be reversed. They were sold to be destroyed because the king was deceived by one of the people he thought was his strongest supporter, a leader right directly under him, who wasn't even Persian. He was an Amalekite. Okay, so it's everything was hidden. Esther, he had no idea that Esther was the queen and she was a Jew. Okay, see, we are hidden. Okay, God's work. It seems like he's not there. It seems like his name isn't there, but he is there, and he's about to turn it all around. And they have no idea what has been placed before them. That the attack. What Biden has no idea. The people that are over him have no idea what God's about to do. This is today's story. But yet, this is yesterday's story. Okay, so today, get back to yesterday. I'm moving pretty fast here. So, Esther means star. Okay, but her real name was Hadassah, and Hadassah means myrtle. Okay. And you know what the tree of a myrtle tree? It's symbolic of a covering to comfort, to protect, and to bless. It springs up, it grows rapidly, it leaps. Okay. It also resembles the eyes of a man. We use it in Sukkot. We use it as a part of the four species that we worship the Lord on Sukkot, on the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay. So let's look real quick. If there's any questions, we're going to be doing a lot. We're going to be, in a moment, we're going to have a little bit of praise. And you're welcome to stamp on that sheet while we're praising or dance on that sheet. Okay. And then we're going to have, we can go eat. And we got some food. We don't have like a full meal, a lot of nosh. Okay. Then we're going to come back in here and read through the book of Esther. Okay. And we are going to mock, because on this day, you're going to find out so many other things happen. Okay? Esther chapter 3, 1 to 7. After these events, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and established his authority over all the princes who were with him. And all the king's servants who were at the king's gate bowed down and paid homage to Haman. For so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai neither bowed nor paid homage or worshipped him. Then the king's servants who were at the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why are you transgressing the king's command?" And now it was when they had spoken daily to him, he would not listen to them. And they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's reason would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai neither bowed down nor paid homage to him, Haman was filled with rage. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him who the people of Mordecai were. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews, because the Amalekites really hated the Jews. They hate God. Their hatred came from Esau, their grandfather, the brother of Jacob. Okay, and to destroy the Jews, the people of Mordecai who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus. In the first month, which is the month of Aviv, Nisan, that's the month next month, that's the Passover month. In the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, Pur, that is a lot, was cast before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, until the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, the month we're in now. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There's a certain people scattered and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of the kingdom. Their laws are different from those and all other people, and they do not observe the king's laws, so it is not in the king's interest to let them stay alive or remain." In other words, they follow God's Torah. They're different. God said he made us peculiar, right? We are different. If it is pleasing to the king, let it be decreed that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of the one who carries on the king's business to put into the king's treasury. Then the king took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman. That's his authority. The authority of the king. The son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, "The silver is yours, and the people also to do with them as you please." Okay, then the scribes went and they planned on the 13th day of the first month. They wrote out their edict. Okay, immediately to destroy all the Jews on Adar. It was written out a day before Passover. Okay, so I just want you to see what's going on here, because there's a timetable here. So let's look at the notes. Okay, on page 5. So eventually Mordecai puts on sackcloth and what do you call it? Dust, sackcloth, okay, ashes, sackcloth and ashes, and he was mourning. He worked at the gate, so everybody knew he was mourning really loud. Okay, it upset a few people, and it got to Queen Esther, and she went to find out what happened. Okay, so, but it's interesting. When it came time, she was going to have to risk her life, and even Mordecai told her that, "How do you know you have not come to such a time as this?" Everybody quotes that, and among the believers, how do you know that you haven't come to such a time as this? Okay, that you came into the kingdom for such a time as this. There was a reason why I told you to hide your identity. Okay? There's a lot of reasons we don't understand why things take so long or why things get so bad. But it's only for God to get the glory. It's only for the enemy to fall into the trap that he laid for the righteous. There's a timetable involved. And sometimes it's hard to be patient and wait for it to happen. The Lord has put us in a perpetual month of Adar, not knowing how things are going to turn out. And it started on November 3rd, after the election. And we've been in this perpetual period, waiting for the victory, waiting for the Purim to happen. It's going to happen. And whenever it doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow or the next day, but it's going to happen. Okay, and when it happens, it will be our Purim. It will be all of humanity's Purim. It'll be all the righteous in all the world. It'll be Israel's Purim. Everything will turn around. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this thing. She said, fast and tell all the people all the Jews to fast and to pray for me. I have to go before the king and I can lose my life. But I don't care about my life if it means the death of my people. So I will risk my life for my people. Okay, so day 1 of Eve 13. That's in Esther 3:7, all this. Day 2 of Eve 14. Day 3 of Eve 15. Okay? She gets to the king, and sometime probably during the day on the 15th, and says, will you come to a feast that I have prepared for you, you and Haman? And on that night, she doesn't say who it is. After that wonderful meal that the king loved, and that the king remembered how she risked her life to come before him, that she said, what do you want up to have my kingdom? Come on tomorrow night to a meal that I'm preparing for you. Why? Because the second night, the first night was of Eve 16, the second night was of Eve 17. Now, of Eve 17 happens to be connected to a feast called Purim, or first fruits. It is believed to be the day that Israel crossed the Red Sea. Okay, isn't it amazing? Everybody's talking about a Red Sea moment. Okay, that's Purim. It may not have actually been when they came out of Egypt exactly on the 17th day of the first month that year. But there was another event that happened on that time. Okay, but it hadn't happened yet in this story. Yeshua's resurrection. Remember, I shared that with you. It happened on the 17th day. We know that because Yeshua died on the 14th, and he said, on the third day I will rise. So he died on a Thursday. So Thursday evening, remember the day begins on the evening on the Jewish calendar. So Thursday evening, day 1. Friday evening, day 2. Saturday evening, day 3. Probably around midnight, the same time Israel left Egypt. Okay, that at that time, on that time, on the 17th, is when Yeshua rose. Okay, so he rose. So he waited to reveal that this wicked Haman is the one that is set to destroy me and my people, and it infuriated the king. And he put a bag over his head, meaning that he's going to die. And he was hung in the gallows that Haman made to hang Mordecai, because Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. This is coming. There's going to be another hanging. Maybe not literally a hanging. Maybe for some it'll be a hanging. But a great revealing is coming. And in that revealing, some are going to be hanged. Some are going to prison. People that you would never have imagined are going to go to prison. And our president that everybody thought was done is going to come back. And I'm not talking about 2024. I'm talking about 2021. Okay? This is going to be relived in our time. So this pattern happens over and over again. Okay, so Amalek is symbolic of Lucifer or Satan. Mordecai is symbolic of Yeshua, our Messiah. Og and Haman are symbolic of the false Messiah coming in the near future. This is a shadow of the future, and Antichrist is coming. Okay? Now, how do we know this? Because he will have 10 nations in his power. And in the book of Esther, in the Hebrew, which I'm not going to go into all the details about right now, it would take 2 hours. That the names of his sons, which did not die, I don't think, until Adar came. So he died on the 17th of Eve. That's Haman. But his sons didn't die until Adar came, when the Jews were permitted to defend themselves and kill and hang the 10 sons of Haman. Okay? But the 10 sons of Haman, 3 of their names, there's a mystery about. There's going to be, it says in the book of Revelation, 3 of the nations that are in the power of the false Messiah, he's going to lose. Okay? This is all prophetic. So here is another side to the story of Esther. It's prophetic for the future yet. But it also was prophetic for the future past, in the past, which was the time of Yeshua. He took all authority away from the enemy. Okay? And there is a time that we're in now that Purim is also affecting. That scripture in Ecclesiastes says what has happened before will happen again. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, so now I added this thing. I don't have a lot of I really, I'm going to leave this up to you. Look at this study I did here. It's called What is Behind the Names? I put the story of the bad names Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Okay. I put Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the Democrats in there too. But okay, I don't want to talk about politics or anything today. Okay, the good one is President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so Joseph means he will add, right? But Biden means dweller of the down. And I was really debating on this. Dweller of the down. That means down in the ground. Dweller of hell, perhaps? Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so you could say God, you could say his name means totally together. Joseph Biden would mean he will be added to the place below. I will leave it up to you. These are just the meanings of their names in the Hebrew. Okay, but Josh helped me translate this one. Biden also means the deeds done in the man's house will be. No, actually, I think I put that one. The deeds done in the man's house will be his path. Or this is what Josh got out of it. He will add to the family whose deeds are judged. This is the meanings of the letters of Joseph Biden. Kamala Harris means lotus flower or pale red or garden. And Harris could mean like a home ruler or joy or to shine. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? But look at what it says in the Hebrew, the meaning. In times of chaos, this is for Kamala in Hebrew. In times of chaos, still the leader controls the spirit. And Harris means revealed are the wicked deeds of the twisted.
Wow.
Right. I'll just leave that to you. Okay, this is something we just researched and went over. Okay, Donald Trump literally means, this is what it's interpreted in the Hebrew, ruler of the world, graced by God, a descendant of a trumpeter or drummer. Okay, and I broke this down. Donald means the heart is joined to the life of the teaching of the shepherd. Trump, surrounding the leader is the great leader who is mighty and scatters the enemy. Now this is what Josh got. Me and Josh kind of like, I did what I could figure out, and then Josh went and did it the way Josh is better at this. Okay, so I have more trust in Josh's interpretation here. Donald means a heart joined to life, teaching the path. Trump, witness how important the leader waters scatter. Now, don't ask me to explain that. I don't fully get that, okay? But it means watch how the leader scatters. That's a better way of thinking. Witness how important is the leader that scatters. I think that might be a better way of putting it. Okay, scatters the enemy. Okay? I just want to make sure I covered everything in here as best as possible. Okay, this story we are going to mock because this is the day the enemy gave us back authority over the enemy. He no longer has authority. This is the day I really believe that Satan hates Purim. He hates it because this is the day we mock him. Do you know that in the times of the religious Catholic Church, Roman Church, that they persecuted Jews because during this time, the Jews would be so full of effort in mocking Satan. And they wouldn't call him Satan, they would call him Haman. They would just be celebrating the original story, right? That they thought that they were mocking Jesus. So they would kill Jews for celebrating Purim. That's some of the stories that were passed along, some of the anti-Semitic stories. These would be Catholics, not religious people. People who just did whatever they wanted to do. Okay, in the name of Jesus, who wasn't in his name, it wasn't him. Okay, so let's just get ready to close both this. We're going to have some praise. We're just going to do praise, okay? And I want you to take this sheet like this and tear it out. And if you don't have a noisemaker, grab a noisemaker. Except we're not going to get into the noise right now as much, but if you want to worship or praise with the noise, go ahead. Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Say goodbye to all those online.